everyone, it's Vanessa here from Love Riley. Welcome back. Today I'm going to be making the Coupeville Tote by Rosa patterns. This is Alexis's brand new pattern, and this is the first tote that she has ever written and designed, and wow, did she knock it out of the park. It is a very nice size bag. Let's go over the bag. So I've done quilting. There is an option to not do quilting. You'll get both pattern pieces for quilting and not quilting, so it's great that that is included. You've got this front phone pocket here, which is a really, really good size, and I actually did go ahead and do it on the back as well. But in the pattern, it is designed to have one front pocket, phone pocket, but I decided to do two because the more pockets, the better, I think. So you've got a front phone pocket. I will insert photos at the end of these handles. It's a bit hard to get it in the shot, but these handles are so unique, and I've never ever made handles like this, but they were very easy to put together. I do go into depth as I do the video and talk about these handles and fabric choices, and if you're sewing on a domestic, so I go into those in the video. What I also love about this bag is no top stitching. Hello, like you could top stitch it if you wanted to, but I chose not to. Let's move on to the zipper panel. I mean, really, I love a good zipper panel, and this one is just perky and perfect and amazing, and I love how much it sits up in the bag. And of course, we've got, can't have an Rosa bag without the bling, zipper end, and then the inside of the bag. I mean, come on, look at that. The inside of this bag is amazing, and it has got so much room. So we have a large slip pocket on one side, and then this may look like just a zipper pocket on the back, but don't be fooled. No, we have another slip pocket. Then we have a zipper pocket. I mean, really? As I say, the more pockets, the better. And, oh, so much room. So much room. This lining is just amazing. On the back, again, quilting and another phone pocket. And then the base of the bag. That is just a really nice looking base, if I must say so myself. And then, of course, bag feet. Our connectors. Oh, these dreaded connectors. I may have procrastinated in the video about doing these connectors, but they worked out, and it was for the best. I chose to use Chicago screws for mine. Been there, done that. Not going to do it again with rivets. So if you are going to use rivets for this, please use ones with extra long posts. Save yourself the world of trouble. I chose to add a tassel because why not? I'd never made a tassel before, but I got the Seams Legit template from Bromax and gave it a go, and it looks amazing. So I added that because you can never have too much bling, right? And of course we have our crossbody strap, and it's got bling because why not? It certainly looks the part. I'm pretty sure that my customers will love this bag, and I'll be lucky to get it on the website after I'm allowed to post it on social media. So thank you to Alexis for allowing me to do the patterns, and I hope that if you're struggling with any part of the pattern that I'm able to help you understand it better. only part of the pattern that I struggled with was the zipper and slip pocket on the back, but Alexis was very kind and actually did a video so that I could understand, because I just couldn't get my head around it, but I got there in the end and it turned out perfectly. So please go and buy the pattern and support Alexis, and congratulations to Alexis for an amazing pattern. So let's get on and sew this baby up. Okay, I'll start with all my external pieces. These are the decorative connectors. I'm not sure whether or not I'm going to use those. I've not interfaced them, but I've marked a line down the center. So I've got 2 of those. So here's my bottom piece. I've interfaced it with Coupeville Heavy out of my seam allowances. And I think I'm going to add foam to the base as well. So I've got one of those. I've got my phone pocket backing. Now I am using 2 of these because I'm doing the phone pocket on the front and the back. So I've got 2 of these out of my exterior, interface with Coupeville Light out of my seam allowances. So 2 of those. I've got my strap. I have interfaced that with a medium woven, and I've put the mark down the center. I've got my upper connector pieces. I've got 2 of these. I've interfaced with Coupeville Light, exactly where it tells you in the pattern to place that. Mark down the center and add a double-sided tape. 2 of those. I've got my handles. 2 of those. There are very specific measurements given in the pattern of how to do these, how to do the placement for all of your interfacing. So I've got medium woven and then Coupeville Light on top. So pay attention to the pattern on where that all gets placed. I've got my top trim. Again, these have very specific measurements and where everything's placed. These interfacing pieces here are actually separate pattern pieces and are different sizes, so pay attention to that. So I've got 2 top trims. I've got my zipper panel, and I've just interfaced that with Coupeville Light out of my seam allowances. I've got my 2 main panels. I've done all the markings for where my quilting is going to be, and I am actually doing the phone pocket on the front and the back. So if you're not doing that, then you'll have one that does not have this cut out. And again, there are separate pattern pieces for if you are quilting and if you're not. So I've got 2 of those exactly the same. Next are our lining pieces. We have our main lining side panels. There are 4 pieces in total and 2 of these are mirrored. So make sure that you mirror this pattern piece. So I've got 4 of those. My zipper pocket front, I've got 1 of those. My zipper pocket backing, I've got 1 of those, and I've not interfaced this waterproof canvas with anything. My phone pocket lining, I've got 2 of these, again because I'm doing the front pocket, the phone pocket on both the front and the back. So I've got 2 of these. My zipper pocket lining number 1, I've got 1 of those. Again, I've not interfaced these with anything. My zipper pocket lining number 2, again, not lined with anything. I've got 1 of those. And I have 1 slip pocket. That's all my lining pieces. Hardware. There's not much hardware actually. For my hardware, I've got 2 D-rings. I've got 2 strap ends. I've got 2 swivel clasps, which will be for our crossbody strap. I've got my wide mouth slide adjuster. I've got my name tag. I've got purse feet, and I'm just using screw-on purse feet. I've got 2 zipper pulls. Sorry, I've got a zipper end, and I need to get my zipper tape. I'm just not sure yet what colour that I'll be using for that. And then that is all the hardware. There is a decorative strap on the side that calls for 1/2-inch swivel clasps and either screw-on or rivet-on D-rings. As I said, that is a decorative part of the bag, but I'm not doing that, so that's why I don't have that hardware here. So that is it. And I will be using Chicago screws. I just haven't gotten those out yet. So that's it. Let's get on and quilt this bag. So in the pattern, it gives you specific measurements on where to do your quilting lines. So I've just marked that out using an erasable pen, and I use a Uniball Sino pen that's erasable with a wipe to mark all of my lines. So I'm going to go ahead and quilt this, and I'm on a stitch length of 4.5. And what I'm going to do is just get my second piece and just chain stitch them. And if you chain stitch them, it just saves thread because you're not having to leave long tails before you start and stop. Okay, so that's all the horizontal ones. Now we can do all the vertical ones. And make sure that you back stitch at the beginning and the end. This foam that I'm using I get from Spotlight, and I get it when it's on special because it is really expensive, but it is really good. So when I'm getting up to the bit where the foam's going to be cut out, I am making sure that I am back stitching just before I get on the foam so that I don't trim off the ends of my stitching and it all unravels. Okay, so that's all done. This is what they look like. I think they look fantastic. So what I'm now going to do is just use a wipe and get rid of all my markings. What I wouldn't suggest is, even with the pens that do wipe away, I wouldn't suggest leaving any markings on your vinyl overnight. So what I suggest is you do your markings and then do your quilting straight away. And if you know that you've got to leave it overnight, just don't mark it. I mean, mine's coming off fine, but depending on what pens you use, it may not come off. So I did leave mine on overnight. I'm just having to rub just a little bit harder than normal just to get mine off, but it's all off. And then, so that's with all the pen removed. And then this is what it looks like from the back. In the pattern, when you do the quilting, it is normal not to have a second row at the very top because we're going to catch that when we top stitch. So what I'm going to do is go ahead, cut off all the tails from my thread and cut out the foam from this top piece, and then we'll be back to move on to the main bag. So the first thing that I've done is I've gone ahead and I've done my crossbody strap. I didn't do that on this video because I've done it in detail on previous videos. So I've gone ahead and I've done that. Next, I want to move on to my connectors. In the pattern, when you cut this piece out, it is a rectangle, and you do just come in and trim just a little bit off these edges to make them tapered in. The Coupeville light is placed as per the pattern, so I'm just going to remove my double-sided tape and fold my edges in to meet that center line. And you do want to bring your edges, your ends in slightly, so it is tapered slightly, and you want to go ahead and you want to top stitch that at 1/8 of an inch. Now this does get folded in and isn't seen, so if it's not perfect, it's okay. And I'm going to come in and do the other side. Mine's not really tapered much at the end, but as I said, that gets folded down and then up as such and goes on your bag, so you don't end up seeing it anyway. You will end up seeing this edge though. This will be inside the bag. So I'm just going to clip that into place. I'll come back later and do the markings as per the pattern, but for now this bit can be set aside. And I did go ahead and do one off camera, so they're both done. Now we want to get our handle. So in the pattern, it gives you specific measurements of where to mark this line. So go ahead and draw the line as per the pattern. Then you're going to run double-sided tape along your stabilizer. What you're going to do is where those lines are, you're going to make some slits just in the curved part of your handle. Do that on both sides. Now you don't want to go all the way up. Then what we're going to do is we're going to remove the double-sided tape, and you will need clips. Now what you're going to do is you're going to wrap your vinyl or whatever you're using around the stabilizer, just like so. So you're going to wrap it around the stabilizer, and if your double-sided tape will stick, then that's a bonus. You may need to clip it though, but while mine's sticking, I'll quickly do this side. So again, I'm just coming up and I'm just wrapping it around that stabilizer. I just do need to come up just a little bit. Oh, and it's now decided not to stick. That's okay. Then what you're going to do is you're going to get your two edges and you're going to line these up. And you're going to clip these into place. Now, what you want to make sure is at your narrowest part of your handle, you want to make sure that it measures the same on both handles. Now, we're not adding any hardware, so we don't need to worry about it measuring a particular size because of hardware, but you want to make sure that they're both even and the edges should align. So the edges here should match up. So go ahead and clip all that into place. And then what we're going to do is come along and we're going to top stitch. I did go ahead and do my other handle off camera. If you are sewing on a domestic machine, please, if you insist on using vinyl, make sure that you use a very thin vinyl, because this is quite thick with the interfacing that it suggests in the pattern. So just keep that in mind. If you can do it out of maybe a canvas, I would do that. So I'm just going to go ahead and top stitch this. And I am starting with the open edge. Just go as slow as you need to, because these are a very unique part of the bag and you want them to be a focal point. I am just going to baste my edges. And then I'll come along this edge and top stitch it. And I did start with a fresh bobbin, or a full bobbin, I should say. And that is my handle. These are my handles. Wow, okay. So you can set those to the side. I'm going to install my purse feet. I've gone ahead and I've marked the placement for these as per the pattern. And I'm just using the screw-in purse feet. I can't remember where I got these from, but if I find any, I'll find some and leave a link for them. Because this is Coupeville heavy that I'm using on the bottom, I'm not going to back my purse feet with anything, because they've got the Coupeville heavy there. But not only that, because I'm actually going to be putting foam on this as well. So these, as suggested, just screw in. And actually there's going to be too much of a gap, so I am going to have to put something in between these. Maybe what I should have done was, okay, punched a hole through my foam and installed it that way. That's what I'll do. So what I'm going to do now is set these to the side. I'm going to baste my foam on. And what you can do is you can come in, if you're using foam, and you can trim it out of your seams. I'm not going to, I'm just going to trim off any excess. And I'm going to come back in. And I'm just going to go straight through the holes that I just made. And that'll put it through the foam as well. Now that should be enough to not have a gap. Much better. And then I can come in I think I'm going to have to use something else too. I don't think that's going to be enough because there's still a gap. I don't want any gaps. So what I'll do is I'll get an offcut of Decaville. I've got some offcuts here of Decaville Heavy, and I'll use these. Let's try this. I think that's going to be much better. That's much better. Now there's no gap. And they sit flush. So that's what I needed. Just another piece of stabilizer. And then what I will do is I will come in with some masking tape and cover up all of my screws. And then that's our base done. I'm just going to come in and trim off any excess foam because that will be in my seam allowance. In the pattern, it does give you specific measurements to mark. So go ahead and transfer those onto your base. So go ahead and just mark your boxes as per the pattern on each corner, and then we can move on. In the pattern, Alexis does give you the option of where to put your name tag if you're using one. So I've just chosen what Alexis has mentioned in the pattern. Just remember that we are adding a top trim piece to this, so you don't want to place it too high up. So I've just gone ahead and I've just marked exactly where my placement is going to be. The good thing about putting it here is I don't have to trim, I don't have to cut into any of the stitches that I made when I did my quilting. I'm not going to back this with anything because there is a layer of foam there. Push my prongs out. I am going to cover it with masking tape though. And quite a bit, because why not? I'm not sure if I mentioned when I did my quilting that what I actually did was I did go around and just top stitched or basted down all the edges so that it's not going to move when I sew it. And I can remove that. Oh, that looks amazing. And that is now my nameplate. And finally, I get it centered perfectly. Okay, so you want to get your front panel that I just installed the nameplate on and your foam pocket lining. Now, I actually am going to be repeating this because unlike the pattern, I am doing this on both my front and my back pieces. So go ahead. Oh, I didn't find the center, but find the center. And we're going to clip those together, right sides together. I may as well do both pieces while I'm here. And it's always a good idea to find the center of all of your panels. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and sew that using the seam allowance in the pattern. I'm not going to give that out. And we're just sewing the curve at this stage. And I'm just going to grab my other piece. Okay, then what we want to do is where our curves are, you want to come in and you want to put little clips just where the curves are. Do not clip through your stitching that you just did. Just clip up to it. You only need to do where the curves are. You can use pinking shears, but I'll just clip it for now. And again, I'll do it on both pieces because I am doing a foam pocket on the front and the back. Then what we want to do is we want to push this to the back. And clip it into place. Now, if you did quilt your bag, there is foam here, so it's going to be quite thick, but just roll it in the seams until you're happy that it's sitting where you need it to, and clip it into place. Okay, so once you've got all that clipped, we're going to come in and we're going to top stitch just the curve part. Make sure that your backing piece is out of the way. You don't want it to flip up and get caught in your top stitching. And again, I'm just going to do both of mine. And this top stitching that we're doing now is the reason that we didn't do that extra line when we quilted it earlier. Okay, so that's both pieces done. Next, you want to get your foam pocket backing and some clips. Then what you want to do is you want to clip this right sides together with the foam pocket lining. So we're clipping these right sides together, just like so. Go ahead and clip all of that into place. We're not clipping this to the main panel, just our lining piece. Okay, then what we want to do is we want to sew this up. So what you want to do is you want to turn it like this, okay? You want to flip this up out of the way, fold in your sides, and what we're going to do is we're going to sew along the sides and the bottom at the seam allowance given in the pattern. We're not sewing the top edge yet, only sewing the sides and the bottom. And you do not want to sew through your main panel. Again, fold your main panel out of the way. You are not sewing that. So this is what it's going to look like. So they're still separate. Then what you want to do is you want to come in and you want to trim your seam allowance down, and you want to trim it to 1/8 inch. I have a feeling I'm going to love this tote. Now we're going to clip both layers, or all our layers, together with the top. So just fold it in on itself and clip. And what we're going to do is we're going to baste these layers together. Now we can baste those together. And everything I do for this main panel, I'm going to go ahead and do for my other one, considering I am doing a foam pocket on both sides. So they're all basted together now. Do the other side. That's all basted into place. Now what you want to do is get your front panel and your base piece, and we're going to clip these together. And what we're going to do is we're going to start and stop sewing at our full seam allowance, and we're going to stop once we get to those marks that we made earlier. Was it smart using foam in the base? Maybe not, but we shall see. I'm going to start in that corner where my two marks intersect, and I'm going to stop at the same point when I get to the other end. And again, I'm sewing at my full seam allowance. So that's what we have. Okay, next we're going to trim the seam allowance down on our base piece to 1/8 inch. Okay. Now what we're going to do is where we made that mark, we're going to come in and we're going to make a slit in our main panel up to that mark. So just like so, just like that. So do that on each side. Okay, so what you want to do is when you've made these slits, we're going to fold that back and we're going to clip that out of the way because we're not top stitching on that part. So fold these bits back, and then when we top stitch, we're only top stitching on the bottom panel, so our seam's going towards the base, and we're only going to, I'm going to start top stitching where the main panel ends. So right in here is where I'm going to start, and I'm going to stop my top stitching. Make sure that your seam allowance is going towards the base. So what happened was my base came up, or my seam got in the way, but that's okay. It's going to be on the inside of the bag. No one will know except us. So shh, don't tell anyone, okay? Our little secret. So when you, after you finish top stitching, you want to make sure that the snips that we made earlier are still free. We haven't clipped any of those seams. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to join the other side of our main panel. So we're going to join these together and we're going to repeat the same steps. So we're going to start and stop it at those marks that we made earlier. Then we're going to make the slit and then only top stitch between those 2 points. This is going to be a really good size tote. Joining stitch length. And again, I'm going to start and stop where those marks are. Full seam allowance. Right there. And that's done. Then we want to go ahead and make those slits in our main panel. This is going to help when it comes time to doing up the sides. So cut those, trim the seam allowance. I'm going to fold back my main panel out of the way, put some clips there. Back out of the way. Make sure that your lining, your phone pocket lining, is not getting caught. Again, my seam allowance is going towards the base of the bag, and I'm only going to top stitch between those points. And you can choose to put your threads to the back, but I'm not going to bother. Mine's the same colour thread. And I'm just coming in just to make sure that my base is pushed down correctly. And stop there. Okay, so the next step, we want our zipper panels, our zipper tape, our handles, and our top trim. So this is what we have so far. You want one of your trim pieces, top trim pieces. Now, with the stabilizer, there is a wider part that goes at the bottom and the thinner part goes at the top. So it's a trapezoidal shape. So make sure that when you're doing your pattern, you mark which one's the top, just in case you get confused. So the wider edge of the top trim goes against the top edge of your main panel. We're going to clip that in place, right sides together. And we're going to sew that at our full seam allowance. So once we've sewn this on at our full seam allowance, we're then going to trim our seam down to 1/8 of an inch. Joining stitch length, let's go. So we're only trimming the seam allowance on the top trim piece. So you want to trim that down to 1/8 of an inch. Then what we're going to do is we're going to have our seam allowance going to the top, and we're going to top stitch on the top trim piece So my seam allowance is all pointing up, and we're top stitching. Then we're going to repeat these steps for the other side. Pretty. And then repeat for the other side. You are working with quite a few layers here, so just be mindful of that. Again, make sure that your wider part is at the top. Right sides together, clip. Trim this top seam down. Only the top trim piece, not our main. Going to open that out. Seam allowance going to the top and top stitch. So this now is what we have. Oh, this is big. I didn't realize it was this big. Next, we want to get our handles. Now you need to really pay attention to this part because these handles are very specific in the way that they're placed on the bag. Now there's a measurement given in the pattern of where to place a mark on your top trim piece. So go ahead and do that for all four marks, 2 pieces. Get one handle. So what you want to do is you want to get your handle, the bottom edge, and the furthest pointy part. The furthest pointy part here lines up with that mark, and we're going to clip that into place. Then what you want to do is you want to do the same for your outside, your opposite piece. So it should look like this. So the smaller curve is on the inside of the bag. So we want to do that on both sides. Our most pointy part is going to lay against that mark that we made. So this here should be a straight edge right here on the inside seam. So you're just going to get it and bring it around just like so and clip that into place. These are really unique. Just like that. Okay, and we're going to baste those into place. Bit fancy, but then all Rosa patterns are, aren't they? Set this to the side. Next we want our zipper panels and our zipper tape. Now in the pattern it tells us to separate the zipper tape, do our right angles or our 90-degree angles with our zipper as two separate pieces. I'm going to do mine together and then I'm going to separate it. So I'm just going to draw a line on the front of my zipper. And I'm going to turn my edges down at that 90-degree angle. So what I do is I'm just pinching where I made that mark. So it looks like this at the back. And then I'm pushing this edge up to line up with the top, with the bottom of my zipper teeth. Just like that. And I'm going to use a pin and then I'll sew it together. So it's just like that. So I'm going to do the same on the other side. I'm going to pinch at that mark that I made, just like so. Bring this edge up and line up that mark and that fold that I made to the bottom of my zipper teeth. Okay. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch down those edges that I just folded. And I do just back stitch just to make sure it is secure. Take out my pin and then these can get trimmed. So I can just trim off these extra little ear parts. Just like so. I do want to come in with my lighter and just singe those so that they don't fray. Then I can go ahead and split my zipper. Just like so. Then what you want to do is get your zipper panels and you want to put double-sided tape on each end. And what we're going to do is we're going to fold our we're going to fold our end up to match up with the edge of our stabilizer and clip into place. And you want to do that on all four ends. And if they're not the same size, you can go ahead and adjust them if you need to. Mine are good. Okay, now what you want to do is you want to line these up, right sides together on the short edges, just like so, and just pop a clip on there, or a couple. Make sure they're the same length. Then what you want to do is you want to get one of your zipper tape. And what we're going to do is we're going to put it inside our zipper panel and we're going to match our raw edges up. So we've got the back side of our zipper tape and we're going to match it up in the center, in the center, just like so. So our teeth are facing down and we're going to clip that into place all the way down to the end. I'm not used to doing my zipper panels like this. That's what we've got. And you want to do the same for your other zipper. You fold it out, you've got your raw edge on this part. So your zipper tape this time is going to be face up. We're going to sandwich that in the middle and we're going to clip that into place. Okay, we're going to sew these together at the seam allowance given in the pattern. I'm going to have to do mine a little bit smaller just because I don't have a zipper foot on. Now you want to make sure that you stop. Do not stitch on your zipper tape. Stop just before you get to the end of your zipper, to the end of that panel piece. You do not want to sew on the zipper or you will see that. Then you can come in and you can just trim the seam allowance at the edges. I can remove the clips. Repeat on this one. And again, trimming the seam allowance just helps with the bulk. We can turn them right sides out. And then we can go ahead and clip them into place because I'm guessing we top stitch next. So then this is what we have. If you just line your edges up now, it just helps with the top stitching. When our zipper is, we put our pull on, these are how our zipper is going to be. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm going to start in this corner and I'm going to top stitch along here, down here, back down here, and then baste this long edge. And then I'm just basting along the bottom. And then I can come along with the next piece and do the same thing. While we are here, I'm going to go ahead and find the center of this piece, obviously at the bottom because we'll need that. And along the bottom. again on the center, because we'll need that for next. Now we want to come back to our main panel. Okay, so now we're going to put our zipper panel on our main body. Now I've got the front of my bag, which has got my nameplate on it. Yours won't, probably, unless you've done the same thing as me, won't have a phone pocket on the front. My zipper teeth are facing down, and I can see the back of my zipper tape. So right sides of my zipper are right sides with my panel, and for this, my zipper tape is off to the right, is hanging off to the right. Now when we go to install it on the opposite side, we need to mirror that so that our zipper tape is off to the left. Now it is correct that this zipper panel should be overlapping your handles. That is correct. So on my opposite side, again, teeth are facing down to the bottom, and I can see the back of my zipper tape, and this time my tails are off to the left, lining it up in the center and clipping it. If you don't care which way your bag closes, it doesn't matter which way you do this. If you do like your zippers closing to the left, then do it the way that I've done it. Okay, we're going to base these on again, making sure that our teeth are right side facing down, and it's right side together with our zipper, with our main panel. And you can flip it over and do the other side. Okay, now what we can do is turn this over just like so, and we can trim away our seam here to reduce bulk. Just the corners of the top trim and the main panel seam allowance. Just here. Trim that down. And then we can set this aside. Now we're going on to our lining. Okay, we want our slip pocket, our main lining side panels. This is what we want. You want your slip pocket right side up, wrong side up, and lengthways. And you want it wrong side up, so right side down on the table. You want the wrong side up, and there's a measurement given in the pattern of where you need to rule a line. So go ahead and rule that line as per the pattern. And you want to make sure that the pen that you're using is removable, and you're doing that on the left hand side. Then it gives you another measurement that you're going to measure from the line that we just drew. Go ahead and draw that marking too. So then this is what we should have. We've got our two lines just here. Now what we're going to do on that first line is we're going to fold this right sides together on that first line that we drew. Just like so. And then we want to turn it back over. So this now is our folded edge, and this is the second line that we drew. So now what we want to do with the right hand side of the fabric is I'm just going to use a ruler. What we're going to do is we're going to fold it on that line that we drew. And we're going to line it up with that edge. So then what we have is off to the left we have all of the excess fabric, and then we've got just a little bit here, just like so. So this is what we have here. All of our excess. First line is here. This is our second line that we folded to. Now what we want to do is turn it 90 degrees to the left, and then this is now our slip pocket. You can get some clips. So now we have 3 layers: our top, our middle, and our bottom. Now what we need to do is we need to top stitch the slip pocket fold. So it's only going to be, it's not going to be the top edge because that's raw. It's going to be this edge. So this is our slip pocket. We're going to top stitch this edge. So then when it's back together, this is the top of our slip pocket, just like so. Next, you want your main lining side panels. You want 2 of those, and these are mirrored. So you want to grab a pair, and they're going to be right sides together, just like so. And we're going to line those up and clip these into place. So make sure they're mirrored. Just like so. So then when we open them out, this will be what we have. We'll have the sides of our bag and then our slip pocket. So we're going to go ahead and sew those at the seam allowance given in the pattern. And I've just run out of bobbin. I won. That was perfect timing. And then we can repeat for the other side. Then what you can do is you can trim down your side panels. The lining, you only want to do the side panels, not the main. And you want to trim that down to an 1/8 inch seam allowance. Again, this is all to reduce the bulk. Then what we can do is go ahead and top stitch. And I've got my seam allowance going out to the side. Just realised this would have been a good place to put a woven tag. I'll do it on the opposite side. Then what you can do is you can come in and you can trim away the seam allowance at the top and the bottom where your two pieces meet. So then this is a slip pocket. So we want our zippered pocket lining number 2, zipper pocket lining number 1, zipper pocket backing, zipper pocket front, and our 2 side pieces. Now we want zipper pocket number 1 and 2. You also want your zipper tape and your zipper pull. So both of these, number 1 and 2, I'm just going to put 1, 2. Now they both should be the same width. Okay, so you want your number 1 piece. You want to make sure that you've got an overhang on both edges. Okay, so we've got zipper pocket lining number 1. I've got that face up. I've got my zipper tape face up, and I'm going to go ahead and baste that into place. This is normally how I do my zipper pockets when I've got an overlay in a bag. Okay, then we want to get piece number 2 and we want to do the same thing. So right sides up and right sides up on our zipper tape. Just make sure that they're lined up, and we're going to baste that into place. So then this is what we have. So when you open it and it's right sides up of your lining, you should see the back side of the zipper tape. You want your zipper pocket backing, which is the larger piece, and you want it wrong sides up, and we're going to measure just like we did the last piece. The measurement for this is in the pattern. So go ahead and draw your line. I've drawn my line from the left-hand side. I've measured in to that measurement given in the pattern. Then what we're going to do is we're going to fold this over. Turn it over, and we're going to fold it on that line that we just drew. So then what we've got is only a tiny little bit of our lining, our right side up lining, poking out. Okay, so once you've folded that on the line, you're going to have a bigger bit at the back and then the smaller bit at the front. We're going to unfold this, and we're going to make sure that the bigger measurement that we have is off to the left. Okay, so we're going to open this out. Our smaller one is off to the right. You're going to get your zipper lining and you're going to put it face down in the middle. Now, when you do this part, what you want to do is you notice that with our zipper linings, we've only got a tiny little bit of a gap here. If you have it the opposite way and you've got a bigger gap, what you actually need to do is you need to change it so that the smaller gap is facing you. So if yours is like, if when you lay your piece down, it looks like this, and you've got quite a bit of overhang on this bottom piece, and it's quite big, you need to change it, and you need to flip this. So just flip it up like so, turn it over. So then this, you've only got a very small overhang here. So once you've got that correct, go ahead and clip that into place. So my zipper tape is right sides together with my main lining piece, and we're going to stitch that on at the seam allowance given in the pattern. Now what we want to do is we want to flip both of our zipper pocket linings up out of the way, and we're going to press our zipper pocket backing. You can, if you're using cotton, iron it, and then we're going to wrap our zipper tape, wrap our backing around our zipper tape. We're going to wrap, so you're going to push, lift it up, but push your two zipper pocket pieces to the back, and then this, fold it towards you, will create this top seam here. So press that, and then we're double top stitching this, and you can feel all the layers underneath it. Now we can come in and double top stitch that. So now this is what we have. We have a raw edge of a zipper tape with our two zipper pocket linings, but we've got a finished edge here. And then what will happen is this will become a slip pocket. So you can see here that the pocket is starting to take shape. So that's what it's going to look like on the lining side. Then you're going to get your zipper pocket front, and that is going to go right sides together with the top edge of our zipper. So if it's easier to turn it towards you, this is what it's going to look like. And we're going to sew that into place. Push all of your lining pieces out of the way, and we're going to sew this on at our full seam allowance. So now that we've done that, what we're going to do is we're going to top stitch where we just sewed. Make sure that all your lining pieces are out of the way. So push them all to the bottom, and you do not want to sew through anything but what we just sewed. Okay, so this is now what we have. So as you can see, when we have it all closed, we've got that crease that we made earlier. We've got, this is going to be our pocket. So we're going to have a slip pocket, and then we're going to have our zipper pocket. Now what we want to do is we want to move our pocket front and our pocket backing out of the way. And we're going to sew up just the sides of this zipper pocket. Now, we do want to do this at the full seam allowance. However, we do not want to sew the bottom. You want to back stitch well at the beginning and the end, because this is how we turn the bag. So you can come up to where we've sewed here, just to the first row of stitching. You do not want to go past that, because that's going to impact the zipper. So I'm only sewing the zipper pocket. And I'm not going further than that first, or the bottom stitching, the bottom row of stitching. We're going to repeat on this side. So again, I haven't gone any higher than the bottom row of stitching, and I've back stitched very well at the beginning and the end. And you can go ahead and you can trim those seams down to 1/8 of an inch, and then we can put our zipper pull on. Got my zipper pull on. I'm not going to comment about how long that took, but I've got my zipper pull on. Then you want to get the sides, and we're going to match these up. I do have a little bit of an overhang at the bottom, but that's because my seam allowance was just a little bit different. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come in and I'm just going to baste all of this together before I go ahead and add the side pieces. And this should sit perfectly because of the crease that we made earlier. So I'm just going to baste that on both sides. And then we can come in and we can join our sides. And again, make sure that these pieces are mirrored and you're joining them onto the correct sides. And you can go ahead and sew that on. Oh, I'm going to add a woven label. Sew these both on at the full seam allowance. Make sure your zipper is out of the way. Then you can go ahead and you can trim down your side seam allowances, but I'm not going to bother. And then we're going to make sure that the seam allowance is under the side panels, and we're going to top stitch. So I'm top stitching on the side panel pieces. So then, when we've finished that, what you can do is you can come in where all these four corners intersect, and you can come in and trim down your seams to reduce bulk. And you want to find the center top and the center bottom, because we will need both those. And then this is what we have. So we've got a slip pocket, and then we've got our zipper pocket. How neat is that? I really like that. Next, you want to get your exterior and your lining. You need to decide with your bag, with your lining pieces, what piece you want where. When you open the bag, do you want your slip pocket on the back or do you want your zipper pocket? I want my zipper pocket on the back. I'm going to take my back piece that's got the zipper pocket that we just put in, and it's going to go right sides with the back panel, or the back of my bag, main panel. And we're going to clip this into place. Now you are going to be sewing through quite a few layers here, so just keep that in mind. If you're sewing on a domestic, choose your fabrics wisely. So then, when this is stitched on, and my bag, this is the back of my bag, this will be on the inside back pocket. So when we look into our bag, this is what we're going to see. If you want just your slip pocket on the back, then do it opposite to how I've done it. And we're going to sew this on at our full seam allowance. Again, you're going through a lot of layers here. I'm going to do 2 rows of stitching. And I just want to make sure everything's out of my way and I'm not sewing through anything I shouldn't be. Okay, that's my first row, and then my second row. And this second row will give me my full seam allowance. Now you can go ahead and you can trim the seam allowance only of your lining piece, and you can trim that down to 1/8 of an inch. I'm not going to do it, but what you want to do is you want to push your lining out of the way, and we're going to top stitch on the lining side. Going to look amazing. Then you want to repeat it for the second side. Then what you can do is you can come in at the sides and you can trim away any bulk at the sides here that you need to, but I think I'm fine. So this is the front of my bag. And I'm going to get my slip pocket. Make sure that you've got it the right sides up because you don't want an upside down slip pocket. And I'm going to clip that into place, lining up the centers. So I'm just going to repeat the same steps. I'm going to sew this on, and I'm going to use 2 rows of stitching, and then I'm going to flip it out of the way and top stitch through the lining. That's done. I'm going to top stitch on my lining, and there's a lot of bag here that you're having to handle. What I am going to do is make sure I'm going to come in at this side, and I'm going to make sure that this is lined up first and foremost, and make sure that your zipper tails are out of the way of your seams. You do not want to sew those into your seams. And you're going to go ahead and you're going to clip all of this together, not worrying about the bottom panel at this stage. So that's all my exterior clipped. I'm going to go ahead, and again, I'm not worrying about the bottoms. We're going to go ahead and we're going to sew that. Now, because of the seam allowance, I am going to do 2 rows of stitching. But what I'm going to do is, first of all, because I'm cautious of this top panel moving, I'm actually going to come in and quickly base that in place. And then that's not going to move while I'm sewing up the rest of those sides. So just like before, I'm going to do 2 rows of stitching to make up my seam allowance. It has been a long time since I've made a bag this big. First row done. And that's it. Now, it does say in the pattern that you can come in and you can trim down your seam allowances to 1/8 of an inch, but you want to keep the trim here whole. Do not trim the trim. Don't trim your trim, okay? Alexa said don't trim the trim. Now, let's do this side. And I'm going to come in and I'm just going to baste that panel together at the top, just as I did on the other side. So it doesn't shift. We don't need any shifty business. I just want to check where my zipper tails are. I want to make sure I haven't sewn through them. I haven't sewn them into the lining. No. Good. Or sewn them into the seams. That would not be fun. Again, you can trim your seam allowances, but don't trim your trim. So if you're doing the decorative connectors, you would go ahead and install those now, but I'm not doing those. Okay. And I'm going to butterfly open those seams and clip this in place. I feel like this is nearly it. We're nearly done. Oh, that literally flew across the room. Thank you for your service. And then I can do this side. So this is where those snips that we made earlier are very helpful. And we're going to sew that at our full seam allowance. Now, you're probably not going to be able to see this. I'll try and squash it out of the way. If you did do your decorative connectors, you want to make sure that you backstitch over that area a couple of times. I am going to do 2 rows of stitching on the bottom here. First row done. Now I just want to peek on the inside and make sure that I cannot see any holes in those corners, in that corner. Nope, we're looking good. Okay, now I'm going to repeat the next side. So you can go ahead and you can trim down your seam allowance, but if you did the decorative connectors, do not trim the part where those are in the seams. Okay, next we want to turn the bag out. So our bottom is completely unsewn. And that's how it's meant to be for this stage. And this is why we've left the base unsewn at this stage, so that it makes turning it easier. Check to make sure that your corners are perfect. Push your lining on the inside. So basically our stabilizer is forming our top seam. Love it. Oh my goodness. So, oh my goodness, look at it. It is beautiful. Oh wow. Okay, but we're not finished yet. I'm just going to go ahead and put clips where the handles sit. We've got to put our connectors on. I'm nervous. Okay, so next what we're going to do is we're going to sew up the lining. Open your zipper pocket and we're pulling our lining through the zipper pocket. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to clip that into place. And just like before, we're going to sew the bottom and then we're going to sew, box the sides. Okay, that's the bottom done. And then we're just going to box the bottoms. You can go ahead and trim that, but I'm not going to. I didn't do any of the other lining. Okay, and then I can come to the other side. And it's a lot easier to do it this way than it is to pull the line, pull the whole bag through that zipper pocket. That would not have worked for me. So I've just nested the seams on the lining and I've just made sure that they're running in the same direction. Now that that's done, we can push that back through our zipper pocket into the bottom of the bag. Make sure it all fits perfectly, which of course it does. And then we can go ahead and sew up our bottom of our zipper pocket. You can also add a tag here if you wish. And I'm going to add another woven label because why not? Oh, that looks fine. Absolutely fine. Oh no. Oh no. So, my tag didn't go on the inside. Half of it went on the inside, so I'm going to have to unpick that. Oh my goodness. Now, open that and make sure it's on the inside. There, that's it. Now, I've just come back a couple of stitches before I started sewing on the tag. There we go. Luckily it was on a dark spot so you can't tell. Now I can push that back into my lining. Oh, look at that. How amazing is that? This has got so much room. I'm scared. Oh, these connectors. Do I do them first or last? What does the pattern suggest? The pattern suggests we put our zipper pull on, so let's do that. We're going to put on our zipper pull. Look at that top zipper. Look at that. Perfection. And then we can put our zipper end on. So all I've done is with my zipper end, I'm just folding in the edges to create a tapered end. Push it in all the way. You want to push it in all the way until you cannot get it in any further. No, still not happy with that. what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold it until it's even, and then I'm going to glue it. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue in the end, and I'm going to put a clip on it, and then when that's dry I can put the zipper end on. Okay, if you want to top stitch the bag, now is the time to do it before we do the next part. Do I want to top stitch the bag? I mean, you know how I am with top stitching. No, don't do it. Don't do it. In the pattern, it tells you to use a see-through ruler if you can. In the pattern, it gives you specific measurements of where your rivets are going to go. I'm going to use Chicago screws, but you want to go ahead and you want to mark these as per the pattern. Okay, we're back. Now, I'll start with my zipper end because that's the easiest. The glue that I put on earlier has dried. So now all I need to do is I've just put that on the end, and I'm just going to pre-punch a hole with my stiletto, and I want to get the screw that goes in. And when you do screw this in, you want the screw to be either even with the back plate, with the screw hole, or just slightly below it. You don't want your screw sticking up. And then that's on. It's not going anywhere. And then we can move on to finishing the bag. So I have gone ahead and I have done most of it off camera while my phone was charging. In the pattern, it gives you specific measurements of where to place your rivet holes. So I've gone ahead as per the pattern and I've marked those, and I'm just going to come in and punch those. Make sure that your zipper panel is out of the way because you do not want to punch through that. So there's one, and there's the second one, and then my Chicago screw through the front. And from this side, I can come in with the screw backings and line and line those up. And screw those into place. I don't think that one's lined up. I'm just going to tighten that as much as I can. There we go. And then do the same for the other side. There we go. Okay. Look at the handles. They look fantastic. Okay, so they're done. So now all that's left, breathe with me, are the side connectors. Let's look at the bottom of it too. I'm procrastinating. Oh, I just love this. Okay, it's got to be done. Okay, we need our connector piece. Get your connector piece, and you want the tapered bit down the bottom. Add some double-sided tape in the middle, and you want to fold the bottom tapered bit up to where, when you fold it over and the edges align here, you want to make sure that it's sitting even inside, just like so. Then it gives you specific measurements in the pattern of where to put your rivets. So I'm just using my rivet spacing template, and I'm going to mark the holes of where I need to punch these. If you're using rivets, use rivets that have got extra long posts. I'm glad that the Chicago screws that I'm using are the ones with the extra long screws that I got from Temu. Okay, so I have all of those marked. So now what you want to do is keep it together, and you want to punch all the holes. And you're punching through all the layers. Ah, thanks for your service. Now what you want to do is get your bag, and you want a side seam here. And what you want to do is you want to get your connector, and the raw edge is going to slip over the back and be on the inside of your bag. So the finished edge is on the outside. You want to go ahead and you want to line that up in the center. You want to take your pen and you want to mark the holes that you need to punch. Okay. And then you can come in and you can punch all of those holes that you just marked. And this is, you are going through a couple of layers, but when you add them all together, there's quite a few. So that's why you want to use long posts. There we go. Lucky last. Now, this is the bit that is not my favorite, but we've got this. I'm going to take my connector, and on the front I'm going to put my posts through the first two top holes. And again, I'm not putting it through the back, but what I will do is I will thread my screws. And then I'm going to place it inside the bag, and I'm going to match up the top holes with those screws. Get that lined up. You can do one at a time. And what you can do is when you feel it click, I'm just going to come in and just screw this in just slightly so it holds while I do the other side. And it didn't do it because I didn't get it in. I felt that one click, but I said that last time. Got it that time. Now this side. There we go. I felt that. Okay, those two are in. Next, we've got our bottom two. And again, I'm going to come in. It's really hard to try and see. I'm going to come in the back with the screws and try to get them in first go. Let's see how successful I was. Was I? Oh, I may have done it. That would be a first. And then this side. Oh, I felt that click, but when I felt that one click, the other one clicked out, so obviously I hadn't got it. I don't think that's in. Okay, let's see. Oh, I got it. Did I? I did. Go me. All right. I'm just going to tighten these as much as I can. And then that's it. It's done. And then we can zip it up. And there is my completed Coupeville tote by Rosa Patterns, her first ever tote bag. And wow, this whole bag is just beautiful. So I've got a foam pocket on the front and the back. We've got our zipper panel. And the inside of this bag has so much room. It's just beautiful. So on the back wall, I've got large slip pocket. On the opposite side, another slip pocket and our zipper pocket. And there's so much room. So much room. And then on the back, I've got that extra slip pocket, because you can never have too many pockets, right? Well, I don't think so. This is just perfect. And the handles are so unique in the way that they're not only just constructed, but the way that they sit. I will insert a video at the end. I will insert full-size photos at the end. It's a bit hard to try and get it all in the camera, but I absolutely love the quilting and the base with the purse feet. It's just spectacular. Well done, Alexis, on your first tote pattern. The internal zipper pocket threw me for a loop, but we got there in the end. And yeah, I just love this. And it's a very good size. And then obviously we've got our connectors for our crossbody strap. Oh, a colour pop strap would be beautiful with this. Wow. There we go. Coupeville tote by Rosa Patterns. I hope you get it. I hope you make this. If you do, please let me know. And no top stitching. It's always a win for me. Things I would do differently. I don't think I'd do anything differently. And obviously the more you make, the better you and the faster you're going to become at doing this pattern. When I do these patterns, I don't do one to see how the pattern is and then film a second one. I've never sewed this before. This is it. This is from the beginning to the end, which I like, because when you buy a pattern to make for a customer or even just to make because you love the look at the bag, I mean, you don't normally do a test one before you do your real one. You just do your real one and hope for the best. So that's the way that I do it. I mean, it probably means that the videos could go quicker, but I mean, when I sit there and work things out, I obviously cut all that out, but I just love it. Well done, Alexis, and thank you very much for allowing me to do a video on this. And I shall catch you all on the next video. Have an amazing day. Bye.
Yeah, it's a hot day. I'm hanging in the sunshine. You should hit me with the splash gun so I cool down. Won't you come on over? We can party till the sun's down. Baby, let me buy you a drink while we're dancing a blink. I could go for some Queen Bee too. Bass is going boom boom. Baby, if you're looking for some crazy, I'll tell you everybody's standing in a line for the water slide. You can come on over. We can take the roller coaster. And you know everybody's looking for a ride in the water slide. Water slide. it's just another Friday in paradise. So bring your A game, 'cause you know this party won't stop.